Get over here, you. Shit up here. Oh, don't look at my clutter. You see nothing. So I've tried recording this probably 10 different times. This is the final cut, and this is what you're getting. This is as good as it's gonna get. Hi, my name is Tyler. Welcome back to my channel. I wanted to do a sit-down video like I'm talking to a friend because I feel like it might be able to help somebody with their sobriety or make them feel like they're not so alone. I feel like society has this pressure for us to drink, and if you don't drink, you're not cool or you're lame or this or that, which is a bunch of BS in my opinion, honestly. I'm gonna tell you a list of reasons why I decided to quit drinking alcohol at the time and why I decided to make that decision, and then I'm gonna talk about whether I'm gonna drink again or not. So let's get into it. So back in October, I had excision surgery of endometriosis. If you're not familiar with what that is, basically it's uterine tissue that grows outside of the uterus, and it causes a lot of pain and discomfort with the menstrual cycle, and I was just having a lot of gut issues and stuff like that. It was a pretty extensive surgery. The doctor acted like I was gonna waltz out of my surgery feeling like $1,000,000, but I'll tell you what, that surgery put me out on my ass. So I made the decision that I wasn't gonna drink at least a month after my surgery because I wanted to give my body the time and the space just to heal and get back to how it used to be. Well, long story short, the month had passed by and I still was feeling like crap, and I just went back to work, and it was a job that was very unfulfilling and a job that I loathed entirely, and I was not at a good place mentally in my life, and I was working, I was creating art, and throughout the summer I was doing art markets, and I was starting to work on this YouTube channel back in September, and it was just a lot of things. My plate was severely full, and one thing that I realized when I wasn't drinking for the first 30 days was, wow, even though I'm recovering from surgery, I'm getting a lot of stuff done because I was bored out of my mind. And I'm one person that's so pretty sure I have undiagnosed ADHD, but I cannot sit still. And I was like, I gotta do something. So I was creating jewelry and I was creating necklaces and I was taking breaks and taking really long naps and stuff like that. One thing I thought back to was during the summertime, those seltzers were starting to taste pretty good. I'd have one or two after work and it would take the edge off because my job was very stressful, and with everything else that I was doing and trying to work my way out of working a 9 to 5 to kind of cut ties and branch out on my own and be a business owner, I was working very hard towards those goals. But one thing I noticed was I did a lot of self-reflection, and I was like, God, you know, I'm getting a lot of stuff done now that I'm not drinking. And granted, I wasn't working for a month, but I thought about all of the time that I wasted, and I don't know, drinking just made my mental health worse. When I was sad, it would intensify the sadness, which basically that's what it does. It's a depressant. And it made me think back to when I lost my mom when I was 18 years old. She committed suicide and alcohol was a factor. And I looked at, you know, the broad picture of everything, and I've seen this ever since I was 4 or 5 years old. I made the conscious choice as a child that, you know, if I was gonna raise kids someday, I didn't want them to grow up with a family that drank alcohol. I didn't want them to be surrounded by it because just everything that I saw as a child, it never brought anything good. It never brought any good results. It always ended up in toxicity and negativity, and I've seen a lot of family members struggle with it. I've seen a lot of friends struggle with it. So, I mean, I didn't drink until I was 21 years old, and had I not been with the guy I was with at the time, I don't know if I would have had a drop of alcohol. But there's this pressure from society to drink, and when you tell people that you're not drinking, they instantly assume that you're like a recovering alcoholic or something like that. Sometimes you just don't want to drink, and I think that that's okay, and I feel like society needs to normalize that a lot more. I've never really been one for people to peer pressure me into stuff. When I first started drinking, I was peer pressured into drinking, but it never really did anything for me except for when, you know, life got really stressful and it would take the edge off. And I knew subconsciously that that's how addiction starts. That's how bad habits start. It's taking the edge off, and then you drink more and more, which I wasn't. I was drinking 1 or 2 after work to kind of take that edge off. And the reason I'm sharing this is because I was very self-aware, I was very hyper-aware. Bringing it back after that 30 days and realizing how much stuff I was accomplishing, I really started to get serious about my goals because I hated where I was in my life. I absolutely hated how I felt. I was anxious every day. I was depressed. I had no personality. There was no room left in my cup. And I was like, if I drink alcohol, that's gonna make this stuff 10 times worse. And quite honestly, I couldn't take any more stress. I couldn't take any more pressure. And I was like, well, I'll just make the conscious decision to maybe drink after Christmas, because December 29th rolled around and that was the 11-year anniversary of my mom's suicide. And I know that every single year that it happens, no matter how much time has passed, I still have a hard time with it. And I still deal with grief. And I was like, God, alcohol is probably not a good idea. So whatever, I don't need it in my life. Well, to cut to the next reason why, I decided to do a 40-day fast with a group of people. If you're not familiar with what a fast is, it's giving something up. This was for spiritual reasons. It was to grow my relationship closer to God. I'm not pushing anything onto you by saying this. I'm just telling my personal story. I stopped hearing from God and I wanted to hear from God more. And I was like, okay, well, I'm going to keep not drinking alcohol so I can hear from him more. Within that 40 days, I ended up quitting the job that sucked the life out of me, and life started to get better slowly but surely. And then after the 40-day fast was up, fast forward, I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna drink till my 30th birthday. Yes, I'm aging myself right now. You're welcome. 30 years old. I'm gonna be 30 by the time you watch this. No, I won't be 30 yet. A few days after I'll be 30, but anyway, that's besides the point. That really doesn't matter, but I wanted to wait until April to say, I successfully didn't drink for 6 months. I just wanted to say that because I wanted to be a light for somebody in the world that's struggling with sobriety, a light in the world where people feel like they're not alien for not wanting to drink. I think the part that bothers me with drinking alcohol is how much pressure there is from society. And I think one of the things that makes me the most upset is I've seen people recently, this is another reason why I haven't been drinking, is because there's a few people in my family, and I also know a few friends that have quit drinking alcohol altogether because it's a substance that they struggle with. And I support that. We go out to dinner, you don't drink, I'm not gonna drink. I'm gonna drink water so I can support you in that. Because that's the point I was getting to. I think the thing that upsets me the most is when somebody tells someone that they're not drinking and they're like, oh, come on, just have one. Oh, come on, just have one. I mean, I personally haven't had that happen to me, and if they tried to do that, they'd probably get their head ripped off because people know my personality, and if I say no, it means no. Don't push me. Don't poke at me. Don't poke the bear. It's not a good thing, but I think that anger and frustration comes from watching these people around me struggle with addiction and struggle with sobriety. And then people are gonna sit there, oh, come on, just have one. Like, how selfish can a person be to sit there and push alcohol on somebody who's trying to pave a new path in their life? There is nothing more that screams, I don't love you more than that. Because if you truly love somebody, you would support their decision not to drink. Maybe I did this 6-month challenge, so to speak, so I could talk to someone on the other side of the screen and tell you that it's okay if you don't drink, and it's okay if you don't go to the party, and it's okay if people don't think you're cool, because you know what? You're better off being safe in your house by yourself or with people who are nerdy or people who are considered not cool than to go out and party and look like everybody else, because I feel like there's so many not good things that come from drinking alcohol. And when I was at the gym, this was probably like 5 years ago, I talked to this lady, and I don't know why she started telling me this stuff, but she made a lot of sense. And she goes, no, I don't understand why people drink when they're sad. Why not drink to celebrate? And it was like, ding, like there was this light that went off in my head. And I was like, that's a really good point. I personally haven't struggled with addiction, and I personally haven't struggled with, I don't know why I'm getting emotional about this. After watching my parents struggle with addiction or alcohol, and losing my mom to taking her own life because of alcohol, it breaks my heart when people try and push that on people. And I'm saying this because I'm saying I don't understand what it's like to struggle with addiction, but I can empathize with you. I know where you're coming from. I can see how you can go down that rabbit hole and how you can head down that dark hole in your life. And when people push it on you, it ain't right. There's something in my spirit that my heart just breaks because I see so many good people. I've dated so many people with so much potential and they struggled with addiction. The one guy that I was the most in love with ever in my life is a full-blown alcoholic. He is an amazing person, but he did a lot of really bad stuff to me. He did a lot of things that hurt me. And I was angry with him, but at the same time I understood because I see what addiction does to people. And I saw the good in him. And it breaks my heart to watch people struggle because deep down inside they're this amazing person. If you're on the other side of the screen and you're watching this, there's good in you. I think it all starts with self-confidence, self-esteem, and stuff like that. And there's this voice that talks to us in our head that tells us we're a POS and we don't deserve good things and we suck and we might as well just F our life up anyway. But if you could see yourself through the lens of somebody else and they see how beautiful you are and the heart that you have and the love that you share, you're probably one of the softest people because if you didn't feel emotions so intensely, you probably wouldn't be resorting to that and trying to cover up how you feel. I think the biggest feat in life, and obviously I can't talk because I don't struggle with addiction, but I think the biggest feat is facing yourself and being really honest with yourself about where you stand. And it's self-love, it's self-acceptance, and a lot of times people drink or they do drugs to cover up what happened in their past, what happened in their childhood. All of this shit stems from childhood. I see it from the outside looking in. And if you're somebody who struggles with addiction, I see you, you're valued, you're heard, and you can beat this. And I don't know why I didn't need to make this video, but I feel like if I could light the path for somebody who's struggling, or if I can make somebody feel like they're seen, heard, and understood for the goodness in their heart and the goodness in their spirit and just overall who they are as a person, then maybe I did what I was supposed to. Maybe this video did a service. I've just seen so many people struggle, and if you're one of them, there's hope out there, and this isn't the end. And I know that it's a battle, and I know that some people act like it's a piece of cake to just quit drinking, and I know that it's hard when people pressure you, but you got this. You can do this. I believe in you. If you ever wanted to hear that from anybody, I believe in you. I believe that you can quit. On the other standpoint, I personally myself, will I drink again one day? Probably yes. I might have an adult beverage on my birthday, but I know that it's not going to be a daily thing because after following my heart and chasing after the things that set my soul on fire and standing up for myself and not taking shit from people and carving my path and looking ridiculous and crazy in the eyes of others, I'm a lot happier. I'm so much happier. And do I still struggle with self-doubt? Do I still struggle with voices in my head that are trying to pick me apart? Yes, but they're not as loud because I got rid of the things in my life that were tearing me down. I got rid of the things in my life that were holding me back, even if it's toxic people in your life. Sometimes the best thing that you can do for yourself is to let them go. If you have a toxic circle of friends and all they do is drink and party, it's not going to do anything good for you. There is so much more to life, and being almost 30 years old, I realize how relatively short life is, and we only get one shot at this thing. And I know I say this in so many videos, but it's the truth. If you're 40, 50, 60, 70, even 80, it's not too late to quit. It's not too late to turn your life around. And it's not too late to say F you to addiction and take those years back in your life to have a fulfilling, happy life. So yeah, I haven't drank alcohol in 6 months. I still haven't. I have no desire. There's alcohol in my fridge. I'm not bragging. I'm not. I don't know. I feel like a part of myself did this in honor of the people who struggle. It's the people closest to me because I love them. And if I can support them in their sobriety journey, I'll do anything I can to do that. And again, if you're struggling, you can quit. And if you fuck up and you fall off the wagon, you can start again tomorrow. Just one more day. You got this. Bye, you guys.